The first night of the 12th eclipse felt strangely normal. Aurora hadn't expected that. Not after the registration, not after Darius Voss, not after Kale, not after seeing the Reaper headquarters for the first time. Yet somehow, as she sat in the massive lounge area overlooking Nero Vega with Ellie, Plum and Pines, it almost felt like being back home. Almost. The city beyond the glass reminded her otherwise. Nero Vega never truly slept. Lights stretched endlessly across the skyline. Ships drifted between towers. Advertisement drones painted holographic images across the night sky. Massive display screens cycled through contestant rankings, betting odds, sponsor announcements and faction registrations. Every now and then Sparkle Doom appeared. Every single time Aurora groaned, Pines smiled into his drink. Still hate it? Yes. You picked it. I know. Ellie pointed at the screen. You have to admit it stands out. That's the problem. Plum grinned. The entire galaxy knows who we are. Aurora pointed toward the display. Exactly. The girls laughed. Then the communication terminal chimed. External communication window available. Pines nodded toward it. Go on. Aurora immediately stood. Her stomach suddenly felt nervous, which was ridiculous. She wasn't about to fight anybody. She was calling home. Yet somehow that felt harder. The terminal unfolded from the table. A blue holographic display appeared. Connection requested. House reach. Aurora pressed accept. The image flickered, then stabilized. Kenny and Celine immediately appeared. Aurora smiled. Hey, both parents stared at her. Neither spoke. Aurora frowned. What? Celine slowly rubbed her eyes. Kenny looked toward the ceiling. Aurora blinked. What? Kenny finally spoke. Sparkle Doom. Aurora groaned instantly. No. Celine pointed directly at her. Oh yes. Kenny folded his arms. You stood in front of the entire galaxy. Aurora buried her face in her hands. No, and announced Sparkle Doom. No. Celine nodded. Correct. Aurora looked horrified. Kenny continued. I nearly died 40 years ago for this family. Dad, 10 versus 1. Dad, the bloodshed. Dad, the sacrifice. Dad, the courage. Aurora pointed. You laughed. Kenny immediately looked guilty. Celine nodded. He absolutely laughed. Aurora squinted. I knew it. Kenny shrugged. It was a little funny. A little? Celine smiled. A lot funny. Aurora collapsed backwards into the couch. Betrayed. Kenny laughed. Then his expression softened. You look happy. Aurora blinked. The joke vanished. Just like that. Yeah. Kenny nodded slowly. Good. For a moment nobody spoke. Then Celine smiled. You be careful. Aurora nodded. I will. No heroics. I know. No charging into danger. I know. No adopting random stray contestants. Aurora frowned. What? Kenny looked suspiciously amused. That one felt specific. The call ended with promises, warnings, jokes, love. Then the connection closed. Aurora sat quietly for a few seconds, smiling. The next call belonged to Ellie. The image of House Dawnfall appeared. The Dawnfall headquarters looked beautiful. Warm stone, massive banners, gardens illuminated beneath soft lighting. Ellie's father appeared. The moment he saw her, he smiled. Well, Ellie grinned. Well, I watched the registration. Aurora immediately pointed. Don't. Ellie's father laughed. No promises. The conversation flowed naturally. House updates, family, politics, preparations, warnings. By the end of the call, he looked proud, terrified, happy. Exactly how parents were supposed to look. Then came Plum. The room became quieter. Plum activated her connection. A smaller home appeared. Simple, comfortable, familiar. Her mother answered. The moment she appeared, Plum smiled differently. Softer, younger. The conversation wasn't dramatic. No speeches. No grand emotional declarations. Just a daughter speaking to her mother. The sort of conversation most people never realize they'll miss until it's gone. When the call finally ended, the room felt warm, comfortable, safe. Dinner followed, then drinks, then stories. The four of them sat around the enormous table overlooking Nero Vega. They discussed possible alliances, potential enemies, the strange contestants they'd seen, the increasingly ridiculous rumors surrounding Darius Voss. At one point, Plum managed to convince Aurora that Blood Debt Barry was now permanently his real name. Even Pines laughed. Hours slipped by. Eventually, the city lights deepened. The night grew older. Pines stood. The girls looked up. I'm heading upstairs. The roof? Ellie asked. Pines nodded. Aurora remembered seeing it during the tour. The rooftop deck. Open air, gardens, barbecue area, observation platforms. One of the best views in Nero Vega. Pines stretched. If you need me, I'll be up there. Plum raised her drink. Don't fall off. Pines pointed at her. One time, it still counts. He disappeared toward the upper stairwell. The girls continued talking for another 20 minutes. Then Aurora stood. Ellie looked over. Where you going? Aurora glanced toward the stairs. Gonna talk to Pines. Plum nodded. Okay. Ellie smiled. Tell him we're still stealing the tower if he dies. Aurora laughed. I'll pass it on. The rooftop was quiet, peaceful, a rare thing in Nero Vega. The city spread beneath the deck like a sea of stars. Thousands of lights, millions of people, 400 contestants, one Eclipse. Aurora spotted Pines immediately. He sat alone near the railing. A photograph rested in his hands, the old photograph, the one from Kenny's room. Aurora walked over. Pines didn't look up. Couldn't sleep? Aurora sat beside him. Too much going on. Pines nodded. Fair. For a while, neither spoke. The city filled the silence. Then Aurora finally looked at the photograph. 5 people. Young, smiling, alive. Can I ask you something? Pines smirked. Dangerous question. You told me Dad was younger than me. Pines froze, then immediately groaned. Oh, stars. Aurora laughed. So you were lying. No. A pause. Well, yes. Another pause. But accidentally. Aurora smiled. Pines rubbed his face. I wasn't paying attention, clearly. He looked down at the photo. Kenny was 26. Aurora blinked. Pines continued. Lyra, 27, Rex and Jax, 28. He pointed at himself. I was 30. Aurora stared. Then why did you say you were younger? Pines looked at the photograph. For several seconds he didn't answer. Then quietly. Because every time I look at this picture, his thumb brushed across Rex and Jax. I stopped seeing numbers. Aurora's smile faded. Pines swallowed. I just see my friends. A tear slipped down his cheek. Aurora remained silent. Pines stared out over Nero Vega. You know. His voice sounded distant. People remember the victories. Aurora listened. They remember the stories. The heroes, the battles, the legends. His eyes remained fixed on the skyline. They don't remember the little things. Aurora frowned. Like what? Pines smiled sadly, the twins arguing over whose turn it was to cook. Aurora chuckled softly, the way Rex always snored, the way Jax laughed, the smile weakened, the stupid jokes. The rooftop became very quiet. Then Pines looked down. The challenge. Aurora recognized the tone immediately. Pain. Old pain. The kind that never really left. They forced them to fight. Aurora's chest tightened. She knew the story. Every schoolchild knew the story. But hearing it from someone who had actually stood there felt different. Pines looked away. Rex chose for both of them. His voice cracked slightly. He sacrificed himself. The city lights blurred in his eyes. Aurora slowly reached over, placed a hand on his arm. Pines didn't move, didn't pull away, didn't speak. Aurora looked toward the photograph, toward the smiling faces, toward the friends he'd carried for 40 years. Then quietly, you still miss them? Pines laughed once, a broken little sound. Every day. Aurora squeezed his arm. I'm here for you, Uncle Pines. For a moment he simply stared at her. Then he smiled. A real smile. Small. But real. Thanks, kid. The two sat there for a while longer, watching the city, watching the stars, remembering people Aurora had never met but somehow felt she knew. Eventually, Pines stood. The old photograph remained safely in his hands. Come on. Aurora looked up. Where? Bed. She laughed. Fair. Together they walked back toward the penthouse, back toward Ellie and Plum, back toward the first night of the 12th eclipse. Tomorrow the games would truly begin, but tonight, for just a little while longer. Sparkle Doom was still simply 4 friends sharing a roof beneath the lights of Nero Vega.